I love Knuckles the Echidna. He is one of my favorite Sonic characters, and when I learned that Knuckles is getting his own TV show after the success of Sonic Movie 1 and Sonic Movie 2, I was super excited for it. I've been following the movie series of Sonic the Hedgehog since the very beginning, and it's come a long way. Sonic Movie 3 is around the corner, and it sounds like it's going to be everything a Sonic fan would dream of. But that's at the end of this year, and it seems like the next step for the universe of Sonic the Hedgehog is TV spin-off series that Jeff Fowler has mentioned numerous times in interviews that he wants to explore. And it looks like the first character to explore that is Knuckles. I just finished watching all 6 episodes, and I am here to say, oh man, it's not good. At least in my opinion. And I know, for some people, it's going to sound as a shock considering how much I love the movies. But I'm going to go into as much detail as to why I don't think this was a good show for Knuckles and what I think the show could have done better. Starting with episode 1, which is probably my favorite episode out of the whole series. And unsurprisingly, it is also the one episode out of the whole series that was actually directed by Jeff Fowler, the same director as the movies. Go figure. It also gives us a little bit of backstory for Sonic Movie 2, in case for some reason you decided to watch this, but not that. What? Who would do that? Genuinely, who would do that? Hey look! Knuckles just did his iconic drill claw move from the games. That's awesome. Can't wait to see more stuff like that throughout the show, huh? And look at this! Sonic and Tails are here to help Knuckles get settled into the human world. This is fantastic and can make for a lot of funny moments. Like this moment when he has their dog Ozzy up on the roof trying to teach him how to be a warrior, or when he makes this super over-the-top chair to feel at home. This is a show that I want to watch. Of course, Knuckles starts to take things a little too far and is grounded by Maddie. At this point, you're probably wondering where Tom is in this show, and the truth of the matter is, he is just way too far out of our budget to bring him into the show. He's out of town, but don't worry, Green Hill still has Wade to watch over them. Right? Knuckles ends up being so down on his luck that he has to resort to calling upon the Echidna Elders for guidance, and to the surprise of everyone, Pakakamak, the chief elder of the Echidna tribe, comes down to help Knuckles. Though he's a lot goofier and less power hungry than I remember. Odd. Pakakamak essentially tells Knuckles that his quest as the last Echidna is not complete and he must maintain the legacy of their people. And how does he tell him to do that? Maybe he should protect the Master Emerald at all costs? Or maybe he should protect humanity so they don't have the same fate as the Echidna tribe? Hell, maybe he should just be a good person, take care of his friends, I don't know. Nope, he tells him to help Wade win a fucking bowling tournament. What the fuck? Of course, the goal of the show is to keep everyone engaged and watching. So let's make the most unserious plot ever to grace a Sonic TV show ever since that filler episode of Sonic X where they played baseball against Dr. Eggman and his goons. Except stretch that out for like 6 episodes. Now look, I know this show isn't made to be serious. They wanted to make people laugh, and that's totally fine, and you can accomplish that with Knuckles, especially in this universe's version of Knuckles. But it is just such a shame as such a diehard fan who loves the backstory of Knuckles for the lore and the history of his people to just kind of be like used as a joke. Hell, at least that filler episode had Sonic characters in it in Sonic X. For now on and for the next 6 episodes, it's nothing but random characters we never met, and the most iconic Sonic character of all time, Wade Whipple. With Wade at his side, they train to become the Ultimate Warriors, all while traveling to Reno, Nevada for the bowling tournament. Ah, yes. My favorite setting for any Sonic character to be in, and they keep doing that in this universe, putting them in the passenger seat of a car. But I'm actually not bitching about that. This scene is pretty short. It's not like Sonic Movie 1 where Sonic is kind of just sitting in the passenger seat a whole lot. Actually, this scene is more of a representation of how the show is going forward, because Knuckles, quite literally, becomes a passenger in his own TV show. This is no longer a show about the person whose name is literally the name of the show. For now on, it's Wade and his super annoying family that none of us care about for the next 5 episodes. Buckle up, it gets a lot worse. Now, I will clarify, I don't hate Wade. I loved his scenes in the movies, and I think he's great for comedic relief. And that is still true for this show. At this show's core, the problem is not Wade. It's everything else surrounding his character that creates problems, but we'll get into it when we get into it. Now, that's not to say all the side human story subplots aren't interesting. There are two gun agents who have essentially gone rogue, who have been selling weapons to this guy named literally just the buyer, by the way, who used to work for Robotnik before Gunn subsequently removed Robotnik from anything relating to Gunn after the events of the movies. This bad guy of the day is power hungry and wants Knuckles' power to power his machines. Very much like that other guy we used to know, but can't afford for the show. I'm starting to think we should have taken a different medium if we wanted to make a show to continue on without certain characters. He hired these two gun agents to capture Knuckles and bring him to the buyer so he could take Knuckles' power. We cut back to Wade and Knuckles where we get this super deep lore drop as to why we, the audience, should care about this bowling tournament and stay invested in the story. What's the story, you may ask? Well, it all stems from Wade's dad, who taught Wade everything there is to know about bowling, which is why he likes bowling. But Wade's dad ended up subsequently abandoning him at a TJ Maxx. That's the story. You ready to stick around yet? This super touching moment gets interrupted by those two gun agents I mentioned earlier, who honestly gives us a pretty cool action scene. And I will say that about this show going forward, when there is action scenes, they can be quite good. Definitely the best thing the show has going for it by far. I do like the action. But it does suck to say that those moments are way too few and far in between. It does in the end with Knuckles getting captured, and this is where we jump into episode 2. With Knuckles in captivity, it is up to Wade to come in and save the day by infiltrating the location where they plan on giving Knuckles to the buyer, Ice Cap Ski Resort. Don't get too excited. We are actually going to take you to an interesting location like the actual Ice Cap in Sonic's world, but we're not doing that. Instead, we'll be spending the entire time inside this ski lounge because nothing screams keep watching our show like never taking you to the actual unique world these characters are based from. Now, there is also a bit of a critique for the movies as well, but anytime the movies do share a location from the games like they did with Sonic Movie 2, they did crank that up quite a bit. I really like those moments, and I wish this show had moments like that. Now, outside of all that though, I won't lie, this episode did get a good amount of laughs out of me, and it reminds me why I liked Wade in the movies. That flashback to Wade's police training days, where it was revealed it consisted of nothing but watching the movie Bad Boys with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, that legitimately made me laugh.
You are prepared for this.
Bad Boys? Are you fucking kidding me? He trained watching Bad Boys? Wait, that's kind of funny. And that entire super insane dream sequence where he imagined how he would save Knuckles, that was so over the top, and I honestly kind of wish the show actually took that direction with this character to be super over the top and crazy. It was a lot of fun, and it made me laugh. Now, things obviously didn't go as planned, but in the end, Wade pulls through and saves Knuckles from the gun agents, ending in them escaping by Wade hanging on to Knuckles, while Knuckles glides in a sequence that's a big reference to E.T. for some reason. But hey, I enjoyed it, and it's great to see Knuckles is able to glide in this universe. We haven't seen that yet, and it's great to see that this show actually delivered that. So far, things really haven't been that bad with this show. It's been relatively enjoyable to watch for what it is, until we get to Wade's mom's house. Yep, this episode just fucking nosedives, man. And it happens fast, like in the first minute. All thanks to what I believe is probably the worst character to ever grace the Sonic series, Wanda. This character is literally a grown-ass woman who somehow works for the FBI and talks like an 8-year-old. This whole episode is just weird. The majority of this episode takes place at a dinner table during a Shabbat dinner. And the back and forth between Wade, his sister, and his mom, a joke that probably shouldn't have lasted no more than 10 to 15 seconds, lasts a total of like 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, they just, oh man, they just hit us with all the zingers.
I'm now the last of my tribe.
Oh. Our tribe has been through some tough times, too. Minus the giant owls. He's basically Jewish.
Oh, a Holocaust joke. That's, what the fuck? Oh, but the jokes just don't end because we just get some of the most amazing implications.
But what are these little indentations on her shoulders?
Nothing. Definitely not where I hugged her too hard.
Wade, these marks, they seem to be everywhere.
Okay, enough time with Zap. Thank you.
Knuckles, the TV show, everybody. This nonsense goes on for 23 minutes until a couple of bounty hunters come in and gives us finally some action. And I will say, for what is there, it is pretty cool, especially the rotating camera shot with the mom. That one is freaking awesome. Episode 4. Hey, did you just come to watch Knuckles and his new TV show? Well, tough shit. This entire episode is nothing but Wade. Wade and this other bounty hunter named Jack from the first episode. He gets thrown into an electric cage, and instead of Knuckles coming in to save him, he just calls him. Had to save on the animation budget somewhere, and I guess this was the episode. Oh, and no, that's not an assumption. They literally admit that when Pekka Kamak teleports him to that super unnecessarily long musical number. I have a lot to talk about here.
I'm not just going to teach it to you, Wade. I'm going to have it sung to you as part of a low-budget rock opera.
I'm not in the show, am I?
Oh no, you are, but Knuckles isn't though. Essentially, Wade goes through an entire musical number covering Knuckles' past. It covers the war between the Owls and the Echidna tribe, resulting in their genocide. It covers Knuckles' dad dying, which is a subject that I really want to know more of in this universe with Knuckles. And it covers Knuckles being all alone now. Now, in the games, for the most part, this is an emotional and touchy subject for Knuckles. It gives this character a tragic backstory that makes us feel for this character in a unique way that we don't really get to feel for the rest of the cast, maybe outside of Shadow and Maria. But in this show, fuck it. Sonic is for babies anyways, right? Let's make light of the tragic backstory and completely shit on the lore that the fans hold on to so dearly. And speaking of giving a single fuck about the lore, Knuckles is searching for the Flames of Disaster. Any Sonic fan hearing this will immediately think, wait a minute, isn't that a reference to Iblis from Sonic 06? They're not going to, God. What the fuck? Ah, yeah, fuck it. Knuckles fought Iblis. No one gives a fuck. We surely didn't. That's why we couldn't even animate the prospect of such an epic battle that us fans would love to see. Just keep listening to our cringy song about Iblis going to the Facebook Marketplace.
Bones and eat you like a fish. Then I might hit Facebook Marketplace up. Might be some deals on some freaking cool stuff.
And once again, this is what you, the fans, really want to see in a Knuckles show. Well, thank God, the cringy 5-minute long musical number is over. Now we can get back to, never mind. We're going right back into another musical number. We literally faked out the audience of being free of it because even we knew deep down that's really what you wanted. It literally was a joke in the episode. This musical number ends with Wade literally getting superpowers. He super punches his way out of the cage, jumps super high in the air, lands it in a super cool fashion, and this power is literally never brought up again. Do you know how bad it is that in this universe of the Sonic universe, you still somehow broke my sense of disbelief? How'd you do that? Wade ends up beating the bounty hunter and getting his jacket and hat. With that, him and Knuckles ends up riding to Reno, Nevada on a motorcycle for the bowling tournament. How riveting. Oh, and don't worry, Wade's family is right behind them. We can't leave them behind. They have to follow us all the way till the end of the episode. In comes Pistol Pete, aka Wade's dad, a character absolutely none of us cared about, but here with the help of Knuckles, Wade ends up reuniting with his dad. But now we actually get something that's actually quite interesting. That Team Rocket gun agents I mentioned before was brought in front of the evil buyer guy and essentially explains why they're going rogue from gun. And the reasons essentially amounted to, doing the work sucked, so fuck it. Huh. Well, that was fun. Now it's time for a 5-minute bowling montage because we really just couldn't manage our time any better. Why are you watching this show again? And more importantly, why did this show have an 88 on Metacritic? I will never understand. Continuing the story that none of us really care about, Wade really starts to get along with his dad, and by that I mean they're sitting at a bar for about 2 minutes, and you actually see all this happen for 2 minutes. And after everything you've witnessed in this show, from all the wackiness to the superpowers to the musical, everything you've seen, we want you to take what's being said now as serious and emotional. Now, with that tone shift in mind, let's enter some serious, we really don't know what we're making anymore territory, where the mother now has to talk to Wade and remind him the person he's been bonding with really hurt her and him in the past by abandoning them. This is legitimately a serious, heavy story point that I can't believe this show is seriously trying to pull off right now. I have no other ways to explain this other than this super emotional scene is essentially straight out of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, where Will's dad comes back into his life and Will is trying to convince his uncle that this is what he wants. He wants to hang out with his dad again. And in the end, it ultimately ends in a super deep emotional scene that is very popular in the world of TV sitcoms to this day. And the Knuckles show, which has done some of the most insane shit so far, wants to try to hit the same emotional string that show did. Surprised to say, it didn't work. It also comes to no surprise when the dad ultimately betrays his son and agrees to hold both his wife and daughter in captivity just so he could win his bowling tournament. Again with this fucking bowling tournament, man. It's also important to note that Wade was A-okay with his sister's head just getting blown off. Oh man, this family. Wade agrees to trick Knuckles into being held captive by the gun agents, which brings us to the last episode. Knuckles goes into the elevator to his apparent demise, but not really. You see, by the power of Apple AirPods, Knuckles heard the entire plan all along and was ready for the ambush. After that, a pretty cool fight scene does commence with Knuckles, where he disposes of the gun agents by... Oh, no, they died. That was a decompression. Wherever they were just sent, there was no oxygen. They died. Thankfully, everyone is safe, and oh my god, what the fuck? And just like that, after that intense battle, we're right back to the fucking bowling tournament. Oh my god! We are here for 8 minutes. 8 minutes of fucking bowling. Oh, don't worry. After the 8 minutes of bowling, we finally cut back to Knuckles, who's sitting at a bar where he...
Yes. Bring me your largest challah bread.
Oh, glad our 15 seconds with Knuckles is up, where he does absolutely fuck all. Anyways, back to bowling. Soon enough, there's a commotion outside that gains the attention of everyone, including Knuckles. Everyone except everyone in the tournament, because even though we just showed you a shot of everyone in the lobby in the same building freaking out and running outside, the tournament does not get interrupted and continues to go on for the next 6 minutes. And no, those 6 minutes are not what the characters are experiencing. That 6 minutes is what we have to watch of bowling. I'm sorry, we have to give the people what they want. More bowling. Unsurprisingly, the commotion is the buyer, that evil guy, in a giant mech that looks like the rhino that is literally straight ripped out of the Amazing Spider-Man 2's ending scene. I literally said that while watching the show. After Knuckles gets his ass handed to him after fighting for about 30 seconds, we cut right back to the bowling tournament for those precious 6 minutes I mentioned a little bit ago, where Wade wins against his dad in bowling. Only after those 6 minutes does the tournament finally get interrupted, where we actually start to see some action, with the buyer starting to take Knuckles' power, resulting in him being out for the count, with Wade finally stepping up to take on the giant mech by himself. This seems really familiar. With Knuckles out cold, Wade starts to talk to the unconscious Knuckles and mentions a bunch of reasons to keep fighting, including fighting for a home, which makes Knuckles suddenly wake up to take his power back. Wait a minute. This entire fight sequence was almost one-to-one the same fight Sonic had with Robotnik, only this time with Knuckles' Flames of Disaster, his fiery fist punches. Now, I'm not trying to be facetious. This fight is pretty cool. Very, very short, but very cool. And as a fan of Sonic Heroes, I'm a big fan of the fiery fists. And in the end, Knuckles teleports the buyer through the ring just like Robotnik. Oh, no, he's dead. He killed him. That's different, though. That's good. That is different. The show just kind of ends with the annoying ESPN voice casters alluding to Shadow in a way that really didn't feel like it was worth it. I feel like the show could have done a way better job of teasing movie 3 in a way better way that could have hyped us up for having watched this. Wade's mom punches the dad in the face for trying to steal the trophy, and Knuckles ends up high-fiving Wade, and that's it. That's the show. Oh, but wait, we actually have an after credit scene, which will surely give us a way better teaser for movie 3 to really give us the, oh, never mind. It's just Wade and Knuckles driving on a motorcycle while listening to licensed song number 852. In fact, that's something we need to talk about. Throughout the entirety of this show, we have constantly had a bunch of licensed music that happens so often it borderline satirical, which probably cost them a lot, and I mean a lot of money to do. But putting music from the games for cheaper? Fuck that. Why would we need to put any of Knuckles' iconic songs from the games, which would make the fans really happy, when we have Warriors from Patti Smith or Saturday Night's All Right from fucking Elton John? Yeah, but don't worry. I think I know how they paid to do that.
I hope to visit this cool ranch of Doritos and bask in all of its splendor.
TJ Maxx.
Is that the warrior who slayed him? A fearsome name indeed.
It's a discount department store. Let's do this, Spotify.
I only eat grapes and Cool Ranch Doritos.
That I might hit Facebook Marketplace up.
Beautiful day for bowling. I gotta say, Dylan, what do you think?
But no, Sam. We didn't have the budget for Knuckles to be the main character in his own show. We didn't have the money to have Sonic and Tails be in more than just the first couple of minutes of episode 1. We surely didn't have the money for Knuckles to do, I don't know, things he does from the games, things that fans like, gliding around more than just in one scene, fighting things for more than just a handful of times, have an ending that's not 60 seconds long, not sitting at a bar or sitting at a table for a whole episode or being gone from a whole episode. Sam, we didn't have the budget, and we definitely didn't have the budget to give a shit. With that said, thank you for your Paramount Plus subscription, where as long as you don't give us the slightest hint that doing any of this was wrong and that you didn't like certain aspects here and there, like the critics who gave this show an 88 before any of you guys saw this, we'll continue to do stuff like this. We'll continue to lower the bar and ruin all the positive momentum these movies gave us. We already made it pretty clear that we plan on doing this more because we just love the money so much. So please, accept this mediocrity. And after Sonic Movie 3, we'll have Shadow teaming up with Randall to relive his glory days as an ice skater. All with a very low budget and a bar so low, we even impress ourselves sometimes. Think we won't? Just wait and see. And don't say anything. Don't critique this show. Just give your blanket statements. I liked it. I like the Sonic characters not being in the show for an entire episode. I really liked that moment where he was sitting there 95% of the time. And I really liked when we didn't have the money to have the main character be the main character. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the format we're making these shows. We definitely don't want to do 2D animation. We can't do that. We have to stick to the same exact quality the movies had. So for that reason alone, you have to stick with the bare minimum. Suffice to say, I didn't like this. And I honestly think the big reason this show burnt me the way it did was its marketing. It's called Knuckles. If it was called Wade and Knuckles, it still wouldn't be my cup of tea, but at least I knew what we were going to get before we got it. Now, look, I know we did get the synopsis of the show where Knuckles was going to team up with Wade, and I made a video on it, and look, even then I said this wasn't my cup of tea. I was still excited at the prospect because I liked Wade. And to be fair, I did end up liking episode 1 and 2 for some of those reasons. I like the dynamic between him and Wade. But the problem is the show is not just Knuckles and Wade. It's Wade's family. It's Pistol Pete. It's the gun agents, which are fine in of itself, but you also have the buyer, which is a villain that I already forgot about, and the name is just stupid. No one will remember this guy past a couple days, I promise you. One of the first things posted when this show was announced way back then was by Idris Elba that said Knuckles has always had that main character energy. Well, the show's out. Clearly Paramount doesn't believe in that energy. He wasn't the main character in his own show. And it also doesn't help that the trailers painted this show as an action-packed adventure with friends. Even with Wade in it, it painted itself as that. It even had shots of the final fight multiple times. They threw all their best scenes they had at this one trailer, giving us a false sense of idea of what the show was going to be about. Oh, and I'm sorry to say that when the 6-episode series literally has an entire episode where Knuckles is fucking absent and has 4 episodes where he's mainly just sitting around like at a dinner table or at a bar doing nothing, I think I'm pretty valid when I say that this is probably not the best show for Knuckles or the show that he fucking deserves. It also doesn't help when the stuff around those very few moments that has Knuckles is also consisting of random bowling shots or dialogue that makes me want to throw my head into a wall. And the show is really its own worst enemy because Knuckles is amazing, even in this show. I love his character, and the voicing by Idris Elba is amazing as ever. Even when he's just moping around or sitting in a chair, I love watching his performance. But it's not just those moments. It's a bunch of the other stuff. Knuckles is entertaining, he's funny, but it's not just those moments. And that's what makes it hurt all that much more. Knuckles is a character that I love. And I hope one day he gets the show that does him proper justice. And I hope that those that watch this show give proper criticism of what they liked and didn't. Because right now, Paramount, the multi-billion-dollar corporation, is looking at a whole lot of Sonic characters and rubbing their hands together and saying, we could do that again. We will. We already told them.